So last week, you guys saw that I did a video where I did a first impression, but I was sick and I had this new release and I wanted to do a full review on it now that I'm not sick anymore, that I could smell. And so today we're going to be doing a full review of the new release by Ralph Lauren. It is Polo Red Parfum. And so without further ado, cue the intro. All right, everyone, welcome back. So today, again, we have another new release, full review, that the first time I'm actually kind of happy to do this full review because of the fact that I was sick in my first impression. In my first impressions, you guys know, I do the opening 10 minutes or 5 minutes, and then I come back about 20 minutes later, and I let you know if it's changed, what I get from the immediate dry down. And with this one, the overall opening 30 minutes, it was my least favorite release based on my first impressions. And so I'm going to let you guys know after wearing it 4 times, if it was because I was sick, that I just couldn't smell it and it was giving me those odd vibes, or if it actually isn't that good. And so today we're going to be talking about the new release by Ralph Lauren. It is Polo Red Parfum. So a little bit of the presentation here. You see the bottle. They changed the bottle to kind of mimic the Polo Blue line, where now it is more of a sleeker bottle. This is the 40 milliliter. Obviously, there's the bigger one and the smaller one as well. But yeah, the atomizer is still really nice. All of that sprays really good. And it is a see-through bottle now, unlike the other ones. So again, before we get into the video, make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed, and also follow me on Instagram and TikTok. So today, I just wanted to give you guys kind of like a rough go through of what this fragrance really does entail, if it's worth at least trying out. And in the opening, I told you guys in my first impression video that the opening 15 minutes of this fragrance, it fits really nicely into the Polo Red line. It has the blood orange. It has a little bit of a spiciness. It's mostly that Polo Red sweetness. Almost feels like there is a little bit of cranberry in there. There's no coffee in this fragrance, at least from what I can tell. But it feels like there's like a blood orange freshness, almost like a citrus freshness, maybe some bergamot or something in the opening as well. And then you mix that all together with that kind of like Polo Red DNA. It definitely shines through in the opening 10 to 15 minutes. It's really nice. And I wouldn't say that it is a great opening. It's an above average opening for sure. As far as the dry down, though, that is where the fragrance really changed. It turned into almost a green fougere-ish type fragrance, and it wasn't really what I was looking for in a fragrance. Let me give you, by starting to give you the note breakdown, just so you can understand the difference between this fragrance and the other fragrances in the line that carry that cranberry and coffee throughout their vein. And so the top notes in this are bergamot, blood orange, and pink pepper. Mid notes are absinthe, lavender, and orris, and the base notes are musk, opopanax, and cedar. So, okay, so again in the opening, you get that freshness. You get that Polo Red DNA. You get that blood orange in there. The blood orange is mainly the part of the fragrance that you can notice in the opening. It provides this sweetness, almost citrus quality, but it's more of the sweet citrus, not the tart or like the summertime citrus type fragrance. Zesty, that's what I was looking for. It's not like that. It's more of like your sweet Polo Red type fragrance. It is really nice in the opening. There's a little powdery nuance undertone, and then there is almost this slightly green undertone that you don't know really where it's going. And it's really nice for the opening maybe 15 minutes. It's smooth. It's not really complex, but it fits really nicely again into the Polo Red line. After you get about 15 to 20 minutes into the fragrance, that is where this one took a turn for the worse for me. I would say the opening is probably like an 8.5. It really did strike me as one that I would like for the fragrance, and I even said that in my original opening. But as it dries down, the absinthe becomes the main player in this fragrance, and I've never smelled absinthe before. I did find out that it's a licorice, like anise type liquor. I always thought that absinthe was like THC liquor or something like that. I don't know why I ever thought that, but anyway, so it's like an anise licorice type liquor. And in this fragrance, it comes off very green. And I don't understand it, because to me, again, the first opening 10 to 15 minutes, even up to 20 minutes sometimes, it's really sweet. It's really nice. It fits in that Polo red DNA, because the red is that cranberry. And again, I feel like there is cranberry in this opening. But mostly I think their red is coming from that blood orange, but then it completely dissipates. That Polo red DNA completely goes to the background, and it dissipates after about an hour and a half, but it's more of a background nuance after about 15 to 20 minutes. And that absinthe sits over top of the entire fragrance, with the orris and the apopanax coming in to give it this like powdery, musky undertone. And so it becomes a powdery green fragrance. That's the best way to put it, with this slight tinge to it that really doesn't make me excited about the fragrance. It's not as bad as I had first said it in my original opening, in my first impressions, where I said that I hated the fragrance. It was like a 5.5 or a 6.0 or whatever I said. It is better once it sits on you and you get used to it after 10 to 15 wears. Again, I tried this out. I wanted to love this fragrance. It's just, I'm not going to. It's not going to be one that I'm going to fall in love with. I'm not a huge fan of powders. I can deal with powdery fragrances, like I can deal with Nishane Ane. I can deal with Armani Code Absolute, Spice Bomb Extreme. I've never been a huge fan of powders, but it is what it is. So again, once you get about 20 minutes into the fragrance, the absinthe comes through. It gives this, it's sweet. There is a sweetness to it. And that's what they were trying to stay with the Polo Red, to have that sweetness, but then trying to do something unique. But it turns into this fougere style fragrance that has a sweetness and powder to it that really just doesn't fit in the Polo Red line, and is not what I was expecting. And it just almost feels kind of vintage sweetness. Some people might actually like that. There is that orris that comes through in the apopanax, again, providing a soft undertone of floral, but a lot of powder. There is a lot of powder the further you get into the fragrance. 30 minutes, 40 minutes, it gets more powdery and it gets more green and fougere-like. That's the best way I can really put it. The fragrance doesn't change much after that switch from the red to the green. And then it really just does have a powdery undertone. It has that muskiness and almost like a slightly leather nuance maybe. But it's like a musky resin that mixes together with this powder, and then that green sweetness from the absinthe that has this unique spice, which again, I'm guessing is from that licorice that's in the actual absinthe. Overall, I would still give this fragrance probably a 6.5 or 7 total. Again, I'd give the opening, if that opening stuck, I would love this fragrance. And I would still say that there's probably going to be a lot of people out there that tell me I'm crazy that would give this maybe a 7.5 or an 8. There's nobody out there that I would say is going to be fascinated with this. If you want a second opinion on it, I am going to be doing a live, or at this point in time when I release this, I'll be doing a live with Ross from TLTG on his channel, where he's going to be doing a live review of this. The best way to really describe this fragrance is just, again, that sweet Polo Red. Oh my, it did it again. So I want to tell you guys this before I get to the performance. I told you this in my opening video. I let my wife try this whenever I stepped away for a second, and she won't even smell this fragrance anymore because of the fact that that absinthe gives her almost like a film in her nose or in her throat. And it does the same thing to me, but it's more in my throat and my tongue. If I smell it, it makes me have this weird feeling, and it gives me a headache, almost like a metallic tinge on my tongue. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And so again, I really like that opening and that fougere-ish quality in the absinthe. I don't know if I'm allergic to it or something, but I really don't like that feeling that I get when I smell it. It's like almost like when you inhale Vicks Vapor Rub, and it makes you get that cooling feeling. Well, this one doesn't give you a cooling feeling. It gives you almost this metallic tinge in your entire throat and mouth. And I don't know, I'm not eating it. And I'm very disappointed with the Polo Red release. I'm really interested to see what other people think about this, because I know one of my subscribers said that he tried it and he loved it, and or that he liked it and that his wife loved it and stuff like that. I have also got 3 other opinions from my best friend. My best friend said, no, I don't like that at all. He did like the opening as well. My wife, obviously, but I'm not counting her right now because she already said she won't even smell it anymore. My brother does not like it. My mom likes it. My mom likes the whole thing. So maybe it's just like a 1 in 4 type thing. But overall, I think that this release from Ralph Lauren, they were trying to do something different and they failed at it. And I would just give this fragrance an overall 7.0, maybe a 6.5. For me, I mean, I'm just saying overall as a fragrance. But if I had to include that weird tinge I get in my mouth from it, in my nose and my throat, I would probably put it down to like a 5 or a 4. I'm not even kidding. That opening is great, and I wish it stuck. But I can smell it right now, and I almost want to just stop this video because I don't want to smell it anymore. It might just be me, though. There are certain fragrances out there that just don't sit right with people, and so I do urge you to go try this out yourself and definitely see if it is something that is interesting to you. Again, do not go based on the opening and spray it on skin. This does work on paper as far as that tinge though. So make sure that you try it out and wait at least a half hour to an hour so you can get an idea of what that fougere dry down is like with that powder and that orris and the apopanax that really do give off that weird vibe. But again, it might just be me. As far as the performance is very lackluster as well. Even if I didn't get that tinge and it wasn't green and that opening did stick, the performance on this, I would have already said, is not very nice. So when you spray it, it is an above average projector for the first probably hour. And then all of a sudden, you start to notice it starts to dissipate, and then it is all but gone. I sprayed it on my clothes even to see if maybe that would change it. And it was on my clothes for 3 to 4 hours, and then it was gone. I couldn't really smell it, and it wasn't one of those anosmic things because of aroma chemicals. It's a very weak fragrance. It's one that if you do like this fragrance, you're gonna have to overspray. So overall, I think it was a very poor release, in my opinion. Let me know once you guys try it out. Come back to this video. Let me know what you think about it. If you like this fragrance, if you agree with me about that dry down. Again, don't go off the opening, because based on the opening, I would have already liked 2 fragrances this year and then probably disliked them after. And that is YSL Y Eau de Parfum Intense. It has an opening very similar to like YSL Y Live, where it's sweet, it's really nice, and it has that Y DNA, but then it changes. And I still like it. It's just, to me, it's just a basic, more mature version of just the basic Y DNA, like the woods and aromatics and stuff. This one is kind of the same. It's a great opening, and then it turns into something that I don't like. Again, this for me, as of right now, is my worst release of the year. Unfortunately, I was hoping it was going to be the best, but it's not. So I'm going to stop that, let you guys just go with it and see what you think. And then again, let me know in the comments if you've tried it, or when you do try it, come back, let me know. And so again, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back with another one. Peace out.